Welcome to our video on memory retrieval. In this video we're going to talk about accessing information stored in long-term memory. We have to retrieve information from long-term memory back into our short-term working memory so we can consciously think about, evaluate, judge, elaborate, and decide. So let's get started. Make sure you have your notes out and you follow along, and if you're taking Cornell notes, you want to pause the video as needed. Okay, so what is retrieval? By definition, retrieval is just the process of accessing information stored in our long-term memory system, the ability to find that information in our long-term memory and then get it back into our conscious working memory. Now, if you remember from our Atkinson-Shiffrin model, the three-stage model, three-storehouse model, you'll see retrieval here is being able to access that information from our long-term memory storehouse and getting it into our conscious working memory. And this can be automatic or effortful, and we'll explain that. We're going to talk about retrieval cues, or basically clues that help us remember information. We're going to talk about a process called priming, which is using our cues to activate our memory associations to get on a pathway to a memory. And remember that there's not just one pathway to a memory, there's probably many access points we can use, as our memories are all really associated with all of our other memories. So as we talk about retrieval cues, we have to remember that memories are stored in a web of associations. So no memory is just basically found in one area, but divided into many different areas: visual, sound, taste, smell, mood, touch, etc. And each piece is interconnected with each other. So by accessing one of these memory strands in this diagram, we may also be connected to many other memory strands. So we can cue memories we weren't even looking for depending on what type of cues we have. Our environment, our moods, the sounds that we encoded, and the circumstances or contexts are all connected but stored in different areas. So when we access a memory, it's like a symphony of access points working together. Remember, each of these variables, surroundings, mood, context, etc., can serve as an encoding anchor that allows us to access memories in the future. And again, those can be automatic or effortful. So priming a memory, in order to access it, we have to get on a pathway or one of the strands of memory associated with that memory, which could be where we were, what time of day or year it was, who we were with. Sometimes you can find these by yourself. Sometimes you need assistance, like a clue or a picture or a song may even do that. And accessing that strand is called priming. So priming is a process that happens when we use our cues. Let's try a little test to see if we can prime some memories for you. For example, if I asked you what was the state capital of New Mexico, how many of you remember that? Just the words New Mexico might prime the state capital. What about Delaware? What is the state capital of Delaware? And the state capital of South Carolina. If you can't remember those, there's probably some clues. What could we do to help you access those state capitals? How could we prime you? What would be a memory cue? What if I gave you the letters or initials, SF for New Mexico? Delaware, we gave you a D for the state capital, and for South Carolina capital, gave you a C. Did that help any of you? If it did, we primed your memory. And if it popped into your conscious awareness, the priming was successful. We might have awakened your geography strands. So here we are, the state capital, Santa Fe, Dover, and Columbia. Some of you probably got those right. Some of you probably got none of them, which is okay, I guess, for this class right now, but you might want to check your geography. So the memory cues we use, the letters or initials, Those are clues that access those memory strands. And if it popped into your mind that was priming, we activated your memory strands. Another example of priming in a famous experiment, if you hear or see, if you hear the word rabbit or see a picture of a rabbit, that activates a concept, and later on, if you're asked to spell the word hare, you might spell it H-A-R-E instead of H-A-I-R because we primed you previously to access the word hare as in rabbit. So priming can have an effect in the future as well as the present. So context effects, the effects of the context or the environment that you originally encoded information in, could act as cues. You could use memory cues from the context you were in when you're trying to recall a memory. Think about the place, think about the area, think about the people you were with. If you've ever moved to Verona from someplace else and you visited an old neighborhood or an old school, did it cause you a flood of memories? I know that if I go to Naperville, Illinois, where I lived when I was a young kid, and I go to the street my grandma lived on, the smell, the sights of some of the houses prime a lot of memories of being there with my grandmother or going to my old neighborhood as well. In an experiment done in 1975, using scuba divers as subjects, the scuba divers were divided into two groups. One of the groups went underwater to learn a list of words until they had it 100% accurate. The other group stayed on dry land and learned the list of words. And then several days later, each of those groups were divided in half again. And the scuba divers who originally learned the words underwater recalled them better underwater than the words help or hinder depending on where you originally learned. Another experience that we sometimes feel when we talk about memory is deja vu. Deja vu is that experience that you have experienced something before. You walk into a room and you get this eerie feeling like, oh my gosh, I've been here before, or I've been here in this exact same situation before. Because the current experience, at least some researchers think that you're experiencing, may be loaded with context cues that help prime or access memory strands of a similar memory, but not well enough to actually recall it as a different memory, so you feel as if you're experiencing the current situation again, that you've experienced it before. So it could simply be ineffective retrieval cues. How can we use this information on retrieval for a study secret? Well, when you're taking a test, if you're stuck on a term, go past it. If you're stuck on a question, and move on. But when you come back, try to remember the context or the environment in which you learned that concept. Where were you when you learned it? Who were you sitting next to? Was there an activity that we did? What semester were you in if you're on the AP Psych test, first or second semester? It helps if you put yourself in the same context that you learned it. For example, if you study in your favorite chair at home, or if you study in a particular room, maybe thinking of that room might help you access that question. And lastly, we'll talk about state-dependent memory and mood-congruent memory. State-dependent memory, if you reverse the terms, are memories that depend on your state of mind. It's a tendency to recall information better when you're in a similar physical or emotional state. Your memories are improved when you're in a similar psychological state as if you originally learned the information. In 1990s, subjects were found to recall information better if, while they were learning information, they were exposed to minor amounts of pain during the learning. They remembered the list of words better if they were exposed to a similar amount of pain while they were retrieving the information. than if they just experience pain learning and not pain retrieving, or not pain learning and pain while retrieving. So if both the encoding and retrieval circumstances were in the same state, physiological state, we remembered better. And mood congruent memory is a type of state-dependent memory in which, if you're in a good mood or bad mood or neutral mood, you tend to just access memories of similar mood circumstances. So your mood can prime your memories. And according to Teasdale, 1983, mood congruent memories could explain how depressed patients' moods are maintained because they tend to more easily consider sad memories, which then perpetuates their sad mood. So whatever mood you're in, sorrowful, fearful, anger, love, hope, etc., we tend to more easily access similar memories. So if you're in a good mood, keep thinking about those good memories. If you're in a bad mood, consciously try to think about better memories which might enhance your mood. And that's it for now. Remember, rewind and check those notes if you need to, and we'll see you tomorrow.